No, I'm using DDE's Instagram here just as an example because I tune into these guys quite a bit lately, especially if you've been watching the Gumball 3000 content that's going up. Actually, I think that's Shmee's Shelby right there. But I've been getting in conversation quite a bit lately with, I'm a car culture person. I like exotics. I like classics. I like it all, right? I have diesel trucks, like anything with a big engine, I'm happy. And we get in that conversation of where are we going with electric cars. And like, I think, and don't quote me on this, I can't remember off the top of my head, that Lamborghini said what they're producing now will be the last, engine they do by itself without having some kind of other EV type of component. And I'm thinking, I just it's got sparked by looking at the AMG one that came out that had the F1 engine and I think also electric, which is cool. But what happens to brands like Ferrari and Lamborghini, for example, once they start going electric? When you follow like real car culture, anyone I know that owns a Lamborghini, a McLaren, a Ferrari, anything like that, Porsches, high-end Porsches, everyone that's, it's the engine, it's the mechanicals, it's the exhaust, it's the sound, it's the feeling, it's the vibration. There's so much more to a car than how fast you can go 0 to 60. And for car culture people, that they value all that stuff. So what is I think of Lamborghini, I think of, V10, V12 engines, Ferrari, high revving V8, V12 engines. When you take that away, what is Ferrari? What is Lamborghini? At some point, they're all going to have these electric powertrains that are very just numb, just kind of boring and numb, and they might be the fastest things you've ever seen on the planet, but they're numb. And when you look at how much money is spent on exhaust systems and just overall engines, we like the sounds of turbos and blow off valves. We like supercharger whine. We like flames shooting out the back of our cars. And to me, that is what makes a Lamborghini or that high revving Ferrari. You take all that away, and you gotta throw a Tesla powertrain in a 488 and still maintain that same amount of brand equity. All I think that does is it's going to allow other people to just move up into the market. And I kind of feel like it's a mistake. And I understand that's where the world's going. But I think we have a hard time as companies kind of accepting who our customer is and trying to stay away from what's hot and trendy. Did we ever step back and ask does Lamborghini step back and ask the Lamborghini owner, what is it that you want? What makes you a giant fan of our products? And give them more of that. And we're kind of on this Steve Jobs things where you can't ask the consumer. They don't know what they want until you give it to them type of mentality. But I think in the long run, you end up destroying some of your brand equity when you're taking away the engines and the sound and what makes this car the car. And maybe not everyone agrees. I don't know how excited I would be to spend $400,000 or $500,000 on an electric Ferrari. I don't care how fast it goes. I can only go so fast on the street. And then even if I go to the track, it's like I have a track car and I got another track car on order. Track car is for the track, but for something I want to drive around town, like I can't. What if the car can go 0 to 60 in a half a second? Cool. But I want pops and crackles. I want sounds of turbos and supercharger whine, exhaust and rumble, and I still like mechanical watches, for example. But I also own 2 iWatches. I like both. But when you look back at what makes a Lamborghini, what makes a Ferrari, it's that powertrain. It's the experience of it all. And electric cars, Teslas are fast. It'll shoot you back in your seat, but I find them to be incredibly boring. Maybe it's just not for me. So what is your opinion? Like, think about all the content we watch on Instagram, YouTube, the sounds of the engines, the revs, the exhaust, all this stuff. Like, look at all the gumball stuff. How many people going through just revving their engines on the freeway, pops and crackles, all this stuff. These mechanical masterpieces. This is why we're watching it. Imagine if it's just all electric. Then what are we going to have? To me, the sounds of the engine and all that is the soundtrack. You don't need music. You don't need anyone talking. How many times have you heard someone like put some crappy music in, turn it off, and just let me hear the car? Right? What are you going to have when everything's all electric? And I just think what ends up doing kind of levels the playing field, where that V12 and that Lamborghini makes it special. The sound of that Ferrari makes it special. That engine, all that stuff makes those cars just special. Why did people like that V8 and the Maserati? Right? Oh, it's a Ferrari-based V8. There's these things that we just value when you're spending $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 on a car. There's diminishing returns is what it comes down to. The car can only go so fast, and we will achieve that with electric cars. They'll get to the point where you can only go so fast on a street with rubber tires. And then once you reach that, what's left to sell the consumer? We've already achieved max speed. What else makes you a premium brand now? Because I'm going to tell you what, Tesla's probably going to be able to reach the max speed too, and so will Ford. Everyone will hit that limit of getting to the max speed. So now what makes you special, Ferrari? What makes you special, Lamborghini or McLaren? The body styling? I'm not paying $300,000 more for the body style. Come on. So when I look at some of the moves automotive people are making right now, it's like, do you step back and look at it and say, why do our consumers buy our cars other than the brand prestige and saying I own a Rolex, I own a Ferrari? Other than that, what makes them really want to buy this car and keep buying this brand over and over again? We're going to dumb the cars down, and then you're also going to beat down your brand equity, which is going to allow other car companies to move up. And we won't care about the racing history so much anymore because everything's electric. It's like, are we going to even talk about the racing legacy when we're comparing apples to oranges? I don't know. There was a Shell commercial, I think it was Sunoco or Shell, and they compared all the F1 cars over the years, and it was just like the ripping sounds of these cars, and then one like zooms in, like slides into like a Shell station, Sunoco, I don't know what it was, probably Shell. And if you just listen to that commercial, it's one of my favorite commercials of all time. Just listening to these high revving engines. I think one of them was a V10. That might have been my favorite one. Just a raw sound. Oh man, go on YouTube and then look that thing up. It was like an amazing commercial. And if you just took all that away and it was just electric, you realize just how numb and boring this would be. All the excitement's kind of ripped from it. We're not in the car culture to be numb. We want some vibration. Man, we like sometimes. We don't want it to shift too smooth. I like when the thing's got so much goddamn power. When it goes into gear, you feel it. Maybe you hear a little clunk to go with it. We still like gated cars. There's just things that we enjoy. I don't know if electric cars is going to continue the development of where we're at with car culture in the next 10 years. Other than saying, I got a whole bunch of money and I spent $700,000 on an electric Ferrari. That's cool. A bunch of rich people, in a pissing match. There's just something special about these cars. Even that Shelby right there. Like anything like that, there's just something to appreciate from a mechanical perspective. Anyway, so do you think that electric cars and powertrains will devalue the brands and kind of make them all numb or not? Drop a comment below.